Hey everybody, today we have Hexproof, easily one of the strongest decks if left unchecked, and it has a good opening hand. It also has the upside of being able to gain a tremendous amount of life in endgames very quickly, as we'll see in this one. Apologies, there are a few rage quits, and the deck description will be right down here below. Well, here we have our opening hand with Hexproof. Don't know what I'm playing against. I've talked to a lot of Delver pilots that don't like playing Hexproof, and it's because of draws like this, but make no mistake, Delver isn't one of your better matchups. If they get that early Spell Stutter Sprite draw, you're really in the deep end. Casting the Gnarlid there really symbolizes that he doesn't have any hard counters, probably just more bounce. Nice play. And there's enemy number one. This is one we wish we had Gut Shot. But as you can see what I just did there, let me pause it. It's a typical bait move that you really need to utilize when you're playing against Delver. Oftentimes you can pretend that you are tapped out, or you hesitate with your mana. You completely tap out, try to draw that spell stutter out, because I mean, what does a Bogle do for this game at this stage? Nothing. He can block it, kill it, whatever. But sometimes you can catch him being a little bit counter happy, and I think that's what happened there. And then the big spell really slips in with it being the Rancor, and it proves the concession. That wasn't an error you just saw. The person just kind of rage quit. Up next is round 2, and I don't have a very good hand, but the draw is awfully tempting, and usually against these Tron style decks, Journey to Nowhere can really go a long way, so I'm happy to see that. Of course I didn't know that going in, but this is kind of a do you have removal or not? He opts to go aggro. Journey to Nowhere has really grown on me over the last few years. Just being able to remove stuff and not put it in the graveyard. It has a lot of side effects that end up being really good as opposed to just killing something outright. Usually they have a really good matchup against Tron style decks. I mean, their main motive of operandi is to just destroy your stuff. This isn't a bait move. This is just a sheer I'm trying to win right now move. And Condescend comes down, but that's alright. We'll go like this. And like they said, no brother, we're out there, we're in a tight spot. Not much to do here. And get the concession. After game 2, decent hand. Always love that Utopia Sprawl first turn. This can really come out swinging with the Gnarlid. I always like 4 of those because I genuinely just never mind seeing them. It's usually a turn 2 play in this deck, as noted from the last play. I'm just trying to clog the ground here. The air, I should say. Partial air. I think Ledgewalker causes more mistakes than any other card. Probably doesn't have a counter, otherwise he probably would have used it there. Becoming a big fan of Commune with Nature really gets you what you need quickly. And another quick concession. This is round 3. Beautiful starting hand. Mind if he looks at it? I'm going to pay our dues is often what I feel like saying when I drop a Sands first. Plays like that. Pretty nice. This is not an easy hand to win, but the life will obviously make it work. And just like that, it's over. The second game, really good hand. Like this one a lot. Knowing that we're going to need blockers, I opt for kind of covering the ground. And that move really sucks right there, but I prefer to get it out there now as opposed to later, and, you know, letting it sweep up with looking at the remainder of my hand, what's left. Psychelect Trickery is kind of a 1-for-1 if you play it right. They did get the Ethereal Armor, but we did draw the extra one, so. Now right here is where you would really fear a curfew, but for some reason nobody plays that. Have a pretty bad hand starting off here. You see red, so it's either you are Fiend or Burn. We're hoping Burn, and it's Burn. You can deduce that just from the mountain count usually, and the Incinerate helps too. This is unfair unless he's pulling main deck, and it's over. This is the second game. Mulligan down there. I want to explain that for a brief bit. I mulligan that hand just because I respect burn enough. You've really got to get the cloak out there. As we can see at this stage, this is an awful place to be, but I do have a little bit more land than the average build. And there we go. We're feeling good now. Gonna favor Sprawl just so that whatever we get, we can arrive at the Armadillo Cloak. There's some awkward mana here. He's really making me pay for it. I have to grab the Bogle. It's our only creature. Let's see where this goes. Now I'm out of electricity range, but we still have to wait around. And now I think we've got it. Yep. And so there goes burn. The final match. Not sure what we're up against on this one, but we have a very good hand. This is either some Delver variant. I'm hoping... I actually am glad I saw a mountain instead of a swamp, just given our creature count. I think we're going to be able to end this one quicker than he can get out any sort of fiend. There it is. I'm still going to respect it. Get a fat blocker so that the trampling rage spell ends up eating a lot of the Gnarlid's backside, I hope. This is what you fear. Always got to respect this deck. Nope, got this one. And last one. Would have been nice to see a moment's peace, but I'll take this aggro hand. A lot of times they can really fub on their mana, even with all the draw spells. Looks like that might be happening here. Just gonna go with the aggro package. Armadillo Cloak feels nice. It's one of the reasons I run 4 of those. I mean, it just makes you feel good when you see it. There's always hope. And we're gonna set out some electricity bait, because at this stage I want him to cast that. It will stifle an entire turn and I can still hit for 3. And I'm gonna pause it right here. Be real careful of this play. I've seen many replays of people playing and they don't run into this guy, and it says right there it can only block creatures with flying. I've even run into people that thought that it could block and they're playing the darn thing. It is a very good card against other blue decks, but a lot of times you get in that mode of they drop something, oh, I can't do this. It's like, no. Just read the card, slow down. One of the hardest things to do in an aggro deck is not play fast. Full swing. Yeah, we got this one. Journey into Nowhere is just a house, but having 4 of them can sometimes muck up your hand against certain matchups like Control where you want to be the aggressor. So we're only going with 2 main. Ethereal Armor ends games. Abundant Growth replaces itself, really fixes your mana. We only have 3 Rancors in this build. I used to run 4, but with Armadillo Cloak I was noticing we usually had plenty of trample, and I just wanted a little bit more flexibility, especially running 2 Commune with the Gods. Just kind of lets me fetch anything. I even lost a mask. I've had builds of Hexproof where I used to run 4 of these, then I went to 3, and now I'm down to 2. It can be sometimes a win more card I've found, but it can obviously be a shut the door card where you draw it and you win, as shown I think in round 3. Aura Gnarlid just builds on synergy. Everything gets better. They've got to have an answer for it. And Aura Gnarlid and the Ledgewalker cause so many play mistakes. People just don't really read the card, or if they don't have a lot of experience with it, they hold people back, gaining you really crucial life sometimes, thinking that they can block either of these. And in most cases, they can't. We've got our typical Hexproof package, 4, 4, and 4. Against Stompy, a lot of times I'll bring out, and especially against Elves, I'll bring out some of the scouts on the ground for young wolves and things to block with, because the only way you really get through against Stompy and Elves and ground control and stuff like that are with the Gnarlid and the Ledgewalker, just MVPs in this deck. The latest new land to Pauper, the Crumbling Vestige, I've put 2 in there. I've found I really like, and I'm at 19 lands. It used to be 17, then I went 18, then I went 19. Just really got to hit that consistent curve and have a predictable 2 manas, because you have that accelerant in the enchant lands. But 3 and over are always nice too. Once in a while you do get flooded, but I mean that's true for any deck. I wish there was a retrace mechanic I could utilize here. Sends Enlistment is a little too expensive, and the green one's just atrocious. In our sideboard we have 2 Journey to Nowheres, 4 Gut Shot. I'm starting to almost auto include these in my sideboard because they're just so good against Delver Delver's main thing is that tempo off the first turn or the second turn counter with a sprite, and these just end it. And also against Standard Bearer, which can be a beast in this deck, it just catches a lot of things. I do run all 4 Moments Peace because against Stompy and Elves and Goblins and things like that, the majority of the time you're swinging in the air, on the ledge I should say, with Ledgewalker, or you're going unblockable with Gnarlid and hopefully being pumped up with the Cloak, and you're swinging and hitting for 10, 15 something, gaining a bunch of life, and their only option is to swing back. And as I've said before, these are 2-for-1s. I mean, this represents 8 Time Walk turns if you played it right. Young Wolf I often bring in for the obvious reason against mono black, for edict effects and such, but it also serves double duty against Stompy, sometimes Elves and Goblins, where it clogs the ground, and you can really buy some useful time while you're searching up things with Commune with Gods to find your Ledgewalker or your Gnarlid, or to go all the way with the Cloak. And last is the Qasali Pridemage. I really like this against some of the older Tron builds that bring in Circle of Protections, which is nice, but what's really neat about it is you're able to attack with a 1/1 and bait that Electricity. If they don't have the Electricity, all of a sudden it's a 2/2, and that's until the end of turn. So at the end of your attack phase, you drop Ethereal Armor, saving your guy from Electricity or something. If not, it costs you a little tempo turn, but it's a really neat way to sneak through damage and get around some of the most common ways of getting rid of Hexproof. So there you have our tournament. Hexproof is an amazing deck if it draws good. It almost feels unbeatable. Down here you're going to see a lot of stats over the various years and matchups and versions. Hopefully they can help you further your endeavors if you try to take this out. And as you can see in this video, it's an awfully fast tournament outing.